Another one of France's own looking to get the win. Coming up this weekend, we have the smile killer, Ziam, and he's going to be taking on the former Cage Warrior star, Michal Mad Dog Wuso Figlak. And it's going to be a really interesting fight. This one was announced on August the 16th, so short notice for both guys. And you might be sitting there going, well, boys, I mean, Fight Night picks, didn't Ziam, wasn't he on UFC roster watch back in the spring? Didn't he get released? Well, he fought out his contract, and then they waited a little bit, tried to ice him out, and then they signed him to come back this weekend.
You're making it sound really nice for Ziam.
I mean, listen, they brought him back. The guy's 2-2 in the UFC. He got finished in impressive fashion his last time out against Terrence McKinney. It was weird. It was one of those ones where it was like that TV show. If you just did a freeze frame at about 4 seconds, and then if you showed the end of the fight, it'd be well, you're probably wondering how I ended up here. Terrence McKinney rushes in, Ziam throws a leg kick, McKinney kind of drops, and then they scramble. McKinney ends up on top, and then he ends up getting the submission. For Ziam, his whole UFC career has been just a quandary of weirdness, and I can break it down fight by fight, frame by frame, vote by vote from every judge, and I can pick apart all 2 of his wins. And then I can look at his losses and I can really kind of just scratch my head. But we're here to talk about Michal Figlak, a guy whose nickname is very interesting because, again, if you're going with Mad Dog, why I waste my time every single friggin' year. I get myself juiced up for this team and then they lose. The San Francisco Giants, they lose.
They've won a lot of World Series in the past 15 years. I don't know if I'd be that fired up, Mad Dog.
That was an old Mad Dog quotable. He's on First Take now, which is the weirdest thing ever.
It's like him, Michael Irving, and Stephen A. Smith. The 3 weirdest people to get into a room together, but hey, I'm kind of here for it.
Fight Night Picks fans are going to learn that I'm about high heat. I'm a big Christopher Mad Dog Wuso fan for the longest time. But for Michal Figlak, I love this guy's game. I mean, I don't want to gush throughout this video, but for Figlak, he very much is a fighter of the fundamentals. You might recognize his brother, who's also a very good fighter. The fact that he has plenty of submission wins. He's a purple belt in Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu, comes out of Trojan Free Fighters. He's one of those dual British, Polish type of fighters. But if you do look at the bare bones of his game plan, great boxing combinations. He throws with power. He picks his shots. He goes from the head to the body. He doesn't throw a lot of kicks. He's got legs like tree trunks. They're like Devin Clark style legs, but boiled down to the lightweight division. Watching Michal Figlak tape was a lot of fun. Obviously, his last win to get him into the UFC over Agi Sardari is a big one because Sardari was the Cage Warriors champion at lightweight. And Figlak looked great in that matchup, but going back and looking at all the tape, obviously he was kind of pining for a fight against Hardwick for the title. Not going to happen, but what did you make of the Figlak rewatch? Because I had a lot of fun going back and watching it.
I got to be completely open, honest, and transparent about this. I'm surprised he's fighting Ziam in his UFC debut. I really thought they'd give Figlak, like, kind of a fading vet, if you will. Someone who's a little bit more well-known than someone like
Clay Guida.
No, because Clay Guida's sort of on the hotness right now. Like, I don't know who he's fighting, but they just announced a really good Clay Guida fight not that long ago. But with Figlak, along those lines, like, that is the right kind of thinking.
Leonardo Santos.
How sad do you want it to get? That would be a good matchup. But, like, Ziam's game isn't all that refined in MMA, and that's my big issue with Ziam. It's been my issue with him his whole entire UFC run. He is a good kickboxer, but he's not that high volume. He's not that high power, and his takedown defense and overall grappling package isn't all that great. So for Ziam, I really felt like he needed more time to kind of refine his game and get it more lined up for MMA, because look at a guy like Gokhan Saki. Gokhan Saki is one of the greatest kickboxers of all time, and I know by the time he came over to MMA, he was quite advanced in his age, and he'd taken a lot of damage, but still, if a guy like that can't just transfer over to the world of MMA and have instant success, someone like Ziam, who, yes, has more of a record, more of a build-up, but his game is still very much built around, I'm going to try to out-volume you on the feet with my striking, and the fact that we have 4-ounce gloves sort of helps his power a little bit, because I do think that's the big problem with Ziam. People don't respect his punching power, so they can just sort of walk in on a lot of his shots. They're not going to play the pitter-patter game on the outside, and with Figlak and his striking style, I think that is going to eliminate a lot of the kicking game of Ziam, because, like you would mention, Figlak isn't somebody who's going to throw his own strikes, or throw his own kicks. You look at his legs and assume he kicks like Leon Edwards, but he does not. He is going to try to get on the inside and try to employ some of his own boxing, and if he is able to get on the inside of the range of Ziam, that's going to eliminate 50% of the offense that Ziam normally brings into the cage, and if he's not able to get that part of his game going early, if he isn't able to use the leg kick like he did against Terrence McKinney in that very short second, like you had mentioned, I don't really know how Ziam can really keep Figlak off of him to then have a lot of success, because I do think he is going to have to try to get his back off the cage, dig underhooks, probably show a wrinkle of his game that he hasn't shown up until this point, and I'm not sure if Ziam's the guy who can go away for a few months, come back, and just become that new fighter.
Well, and I made a mistake because I said purple belt in Jiu-Jitsu Figlak. It's actually Ziam that's a purple belt in Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu, and I wrote that down because, hey, it's there, but we just don't see it.
Shogun Hu has got a black belt.
He trains out of Lyon in France, out of Climax Fight Academy. Very interestingly named spot. But if I do look at it for Ziam in the UFC, let's break it down frame by frame. He fights Don Madge. Two of the judges, 30-27, 129-28, gets controlled for 9 minutes and 37 seconds. Struggles with the takedown. He goes out there and he fights Terrence McKinney. We already mentioned that fight. Let's pick apart his 2 wins. He beats Luigi Vendramini, first round, second round, controls the distance. Third round, gets taken down. I had it a 10-8 as a draw in the fight. The judges scored it a majority decision win for Ziam. 2 of them didn't think it was enough for a 10-8 in the third. That's fine. Vendramini went ham. His fight against Jamie Mullarkey. All 3 judges scored 29-28 for Ziam. MMA decisions 15-2 in favor of Mullarkey, who was able to implement the takedown, punish him a little bit on the ground, but on the feet, it was Ziam doing the damage. But he's just struggled in the UFC. And for Figlak, again, we go through this one. His brother Matt Figlak, 7-1 in MMA. The one loss is to Ian Machado Gary. It's not Ian Gary anymore. It's Ian Machado Gary. If you do look at it, the
name's Rocco.
Listen, he was expecting Dana White's Contender Series or the UFC off his win over Sardari. And in his own words, he's aiming right for that 50K in this fight. So if we do have a look at the odds, they opened at par. Ziam now plus 165, Figlak minus 200. We have a look at the Tapology votes, Matt. Surprise to us there to you. I accidentally hit the mouse. 916 total votes, 69% Figlak. Large portion have him to win by decision. 31% that have Ziam. Large portion, again, to win by decision. Matt, we set it up in a certain way, and I feel bad about it, because Ziam could catch him on the way in. But I think Michael Figlak, with his boxing combinations, his ability to go to the head to the body, and
just take him down.
His X factor, he's a very good wrestler as well. We didn't mention that. I think Figlak wins this fight.
I do too. For Ziam, he just has a weird game at the UFC level, if we're being honest. I do like Figlak, his ability to mix his wrestling in with his boxing, because it's not necessarily one thing you have to worry about. He is going to go to the body with his shots. He's going to keep your hands going from your head to your body to defending takedowns, and that's a lot to think about. So I do like Figlak in this matchup.
Both of us going with the man out of the UK, Michael Figlak, to get the win. Maybe his brother Matt ends up in the UFC as well. The guy from 2013 to 17 was 10-2 as an amateur, and he's already 8-0 as a pro. One of those losses as an amateur to one Jack Tank Shore, who just had a fight booked. So both of us going with Figlak. Let us know in the comment section who you have. Some big fights on the main card coming up this weekend, including one Robert Whittaker taking on Marvin Vettori. Don't know if you've heard of those guys. Ciryl Gane taking on Tuivasa. You're not going to want to miss it. Keep it locked in with Fight Night Picks. We always say,
let's get into it.